We are live. Welcome to my spoiler-free review of Cube Escape Paradox Chapter 1. I specify Chapter 1 because Chapter 1 is free. Chapter 2 is paid DLC for the... I will later do a... It won't be immediately. I'll be doing a couple other games, but I will eventually do Chapter 2. At least two different games before I do Chapter 2. Anyway, this is yet another entry in the Rusty Lake franchise. And, you play as Detective Dale Vandermeer. And, he is trapped in this room. Pretty fancy, but he is trapped. You need to find some way to escape the room. And it is quite good. I wish that it did more to further develop the gameplay. Ultimately, this reminded me a lot of Rusty Lake Hotel. You know, you're in a room, there's about, one of the biggest differences between this and Hotel is that the character you play as is, voiced, he has a face, and you're not dealing with another, individual inside the room, but... Yeah, you're in a room, you have to carry out certain things in order to escape. And obviously, not gonna pretend like there isn't. There is obviously a distinct difference between working at a hotel and taking care of one of the guests. And, in fact, let me set the scene. You wake up, Dale, you as Dale, wake up in this room and can't remember how he got there, and just there's general confusion. I do appreciate that, and they continue to come up with really great hooks. If what I've just described does not appeal to you, the game's just not for you, and that's fine. That's not a problem. That's not a dig on you or the game. But, for a lot of us, you hear that, and it's like, what happened, though? How did he get in there? You want to get him out of there. And, that's obviously a really good thing for a puzzle game, is to get the player to want to solve the puzzles. It's not just, the satisfaction of, solving the, there's, obviously, it does something. There's an endorphin rush when you figure something out, but there is also some emotional engagement here. And let's see, I think one of the reasons that there is not much, they don't add very much more, gameplay wise, is that this actually does have, I haven't watched it yet, but there is a short film that is, I'm just going to read. So the store page says, a ton of connections and interactions with Paradox, a Rusty Lake short film. That's from the store page for this, so that is part of why this doesn't do that much. That was the thing they were doing. You can think of it somewhat as how, James Cameron has been known for, a lot of, he's pushed the envelope with a lot of his films. Unfortunately, recently he's supported AI taking away jobs from special effects people, even though he started out in cinema working as a special effects person. But anyway, when James Cameron made Avatar, we had waited for 12 years for him to make another movie, the longest break, the longest period of time between any two movies he'd made, and a lot of people were disappointed. I still, I think it's a perfectly fine film. I've talked a lot about what I think about the first Avatar, especially in my video on the second movie, because I didn't think of all these things when I first watched it. Anyway, the thing that he was really excited about was the technological thing, the 3D, and that is very impressive. It's a similar thing here. It's otherwise something we've seen from the people behind it before. So yeah, it doesn't take any step back. At first I was a little unclear on if the drag thing was still there, because they are I'm almost certain we are back to this thing of, if you want to move to the left, if you want to move left or right, you have to click a key to move left or right, and then it'll go to a completely different screen instead of just go slightly over. In Rusty Lake Paradise, you could just drag and it would go, so it would be like a camera pan instead. But it's not really necessary for here. This is, in that regard, more similar to Rusty Lake Hotel, and that is fine. I do think that there are... I think they do, with this and Rusty Lake Hotel, they do a good job of creating screens where you really don't want to pan across. It's kind of like how, there are these, AI, things where people have used AI to fill in, what's right off screen of this, famous and really beloved painting. And, there were some people who were very impressed. I'm not, dissing them. It's technology. It's fascinating. But a lot of people have pointed out, we don't really need to see that, though. It was perfectly... The framing was not accidental. It was purposeful, and that's what we have here as well. And that's also not a dig on Rusty Lake Paradise. This again has this very claustrophobic feel, and yeah, I would say more than any Rusty Lake, franchise entry prior to this, it really felt claustrophobic. And I think the fact that you don't, you are alone in this room. This is the first Rusty Lake game that I've played where, and I've played them in the order that they came out on PC. I'm trying to figure out if, I think maybe some of the next ones were originally released before this one, because this one is being referred to as the 10th Cube Escape game, and it's the first one I've played. I think the other ones came out for mobile, and then later they were packaged together for PC. Didn't know that at the time. Now I've played some of these out of order. Did not mean to do that, but here we are. And that's also, I'm trying to figure out if the short film, if I should have played some of the others before. I might just do the short film after doing the other Cube Escape. Anyway, yeah, the fact that you are alone in this room, you are not interacting with someone else, before, as weird and disturbing and off-putting as they could be, at least there were people there. And by Rusty Lake Paradise, there were a bunch of people. Let's see, there's maybe 4 or 5, if not more, major characters that you interact with a multitude of times. And then here, it's just you. You don't know how you got there. There's all this weird stuff all around, everywhere you go in the room. You're finding things that it's like, oh yeah, this makes sense to have in a, I don't know, it looks like a hotel room. I'm not 100% sure if it's supposed to be. There's a phone, there's a mirror, there's like drawers you can open, there's various things, and there is a door, but it's locked. And the various objects, though they may at first appear to be perfectly normal, every so often you'll realize, oh, something's horribly off here, so, yeah, very nicely done. I don't have a lot to say about the puzzles. They're again doing a really great job with yeah. There's a good variety to them. We again have this thing of like there is technically some logic to it. You just have to figure out how to approach it. See, I'm trying to not just restate what I've said before. Like I said, this doesn't do that much new as just a game compared to the others. Let's see. I feel like there was at least one other thing that I wanted to... Right, it was kind of interesting. There are parts of this where you see live action footage, and as far as I can tell, it's not like just like clips from the short film just to like advertise the short film or something. It's something that feels like it's part of this game. Let's see. I mean, one thing, it does perhaps draw a little bit of attention to the fact that, you know, the art style is not naturalistic. I'm not saying it has to be. I think it's great how they've approached it, but it can be slightly jarring. There's actually... Yeah, if you want to see exactly what it looks like, you can see on the Steam store page. It's currently the... let's see, is it the first? Second. It's the second of the stills. You see the live action on the TV, and the TV is drawn in their art style, and it does perhaps clash a little bit. You know, the thing with, you know, it feels like an experiment, and it's too early for me to say if it's a successful one or not, but this blending of the live action, and I'm not saying that they should have gone with like animation in the same style. I think it's very interesting. I'll try to, once I watch the short film, I'll, you know, be able to more accurately compare, because there's not a huge amount of live action clips in this, but yeah, then I'll be able to say, okay, does it really work, this experiment? But it's certainly interesting. I really appreciate when creative people take risks like this, take big swings. So I really don't want to discourage that, especially not before I feel like I've fully experienced what they're doing with it. I think that might more or less cover what I have to say. I feel like there's something else. But yeah, you know, obviously, like, there's always, right from the start of video gaming, there's been a sort of give and take kind of relationship between, you know, actual, you know, filmed and animated, like, movies and shows and such, and then video games. You know, there's like, we'd be here all day if I went through all the different, you know. Yeah, one quick, there are a lot of characters in fighting tournament games that are lifted from beloved action movies. And there are movies where they'll bring in, you know, movies that are not direct adaptations of video games that will take heavy, or, yeah, varying degrees of inspiration. Sometimes it's mild. You know, I thought that it worked rather well in 1917 when the camera felt a lot like a video game camera. You know, the way that the camera is always following, and it's this unbroken shot kind of thing, you know. Yeah, I feel like there's one more thing that I really wanted to say. Yeah, as usual, they come up with, you know, it's, yeah, at least one really unique puzzle. Something that really did not feel quite like anything I'd seen before, and yeah, I think I will leave it at that. But yeah, just yeah, I greatly appreciate, like, I will admit, when I first heard that there were, let's see, I have the list right down here. In total, there are, this one I had the list right here. Okay, here we go. Yeah. In total, there are no less than 9 Rusty Lake, you know, yeah, I think that is counting 1 or 2 DLC and such, but yeah, individual things you have to get individually, you know. And when I first learned that, I was a little bit worried that it's gonna be like, oh, they're gonna eventually run out of material, aren't they? They really haven't so far. You know, this. Let's see, what am I on? This is what number? I'm not talking about what drugs I'm on. There's no way I'll be able to remember what drugs I'm on. This is the third. Third? Wow. Has it really? No, wait. Yeah. This has got to be like the 4th, because Hotel, Roots, Paradise. Yeah. Wait. Does that mean there's 10 total? Yeah, it might mean there's 10 total. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, there's a pretty decent number of these, and yeah, so far they have not run out. You know, 4 out of 10, and it really doesn't look like they're gonna run out of. Yeah. Right, I suppose I will just briefly say, as per usual, we are not getting an awful lot of overall story. It's still just like hinting and giving little, you know, little bits of the overall lore. I forget if I've mentioned before, but I did hear, I read someone say you basically have to play all of them in order to fully understand what's actually going on. And yeah, so that is still, you know, in case you were holding out hope, this does not break that trend. Yeah, I feel like that's everything. If I talk like art style, I'll just be repeating. Have I talked enough? I'm not sure I've given enough praise to the music. They do a really great job with the music in these, setting the atmosphere and just, yeah, making it this creepy, foreboding kind of thing, you know. Because it is, again, like, it is this wonderful, subtle kind of thing, because, yeah, I mean, it's a room, you know, you're not seeing, you're not, like, waking up in, like, the basement from Saw, you know, it's a room, it's nicely furnished, you know, but something's off, and the fact that you don't remember really messes with your, you know, your head and your, yeah, and this does some wonderful things with like perception. You know, it is once again very heavily psychological. I would say this perhaps has less like outright violence, and certainly you yourself don't engage in very much violence compared to the others. I don't know if this is them moving away from that, or if there is, like, it's not really a criticism. I just noticed that it is, you know, yeah, comparatively. It's not that there's nothing. And I think, yeah, despite only being chapter 1, it does feel, you know, sufficiently complete. Like, I'm very excited to play chapter 2, but I don't feel like it didn't, you know, deliver a complete, you know, experience. It doesn't like stop just short of something, you know, it ends the way that the other Rusty Lake titles do, this very tantalizing kind of like you really badly want to know more of this world and be able to piece together more. And yeah, they're really, really good at getting you into this kind of, like, if I hadn't already bought all of them, yeah, each of these endings would have been like, okay, I gotta buy the next one, you know, as soon as it's on sale, obviously. But yeah, what can I say? It's another home run. 8 out of 10.